Good day, race fans, and welcome to Sunday Cash Racing here with North American Racing League. This is race number 7. We are coming from Detroit, Belle Grand Prix. One of the most amazing, iconic tracks, personally, I feel, on iRacing. Track is 2.3 miles long. Track temp right now is 74 degrees, so plenty of track temp. Keep those tires nice and cool, and should lead to some great racing here today. I am Mike Braun. I'll be commentary and production as well. So it should be some great racing action today. Give a little bit of rundown of what everybody's got going on so far. See Nicholas Rubelar with a 126.3. David Bozga. Let's see what the times are. Let's get that. There is our times there. So we've got David Bozga with a 26.6. Jarno Koch with a 26.8. Then we got Daniel Antonez with a 26.8 as well. Jackson Resende with a 26.8. Scott Reister with a 26.9. Should be some really good action today here from Detroit. Again, this is one of my favorite tracks. Practice winding down here a little bit. Got just over 6 minutes left before we get into qualifying. While we are kind of watching some guys do a little practice around this amazing street course, let's kind of look at our results so far. We are taking the top 3 from each race. So this is race number 7. Race 1, our top 3, Nicholas Rubelar, Daniel Lafuente, and Nicholas Mateo. So every round, we're taking the 3 top non-bumping drivers into the season finale on September 21st. That is going to be a pretty epic race. We will be giving away quite a bit of money for that season finale. And I'll give you some more details on that shortly. But right now, we've got Week 1, we had Nicholas Rubelar, Daniel Lafuente, and Nicholas Mateo taking those top 3 spots. Then you had Aaron Vasquez, David Bozga, and Paulo Gaday bumping out of race number 2. Race number 3 saw Sven Haas, Jarno Koch, and Lewis Woods make the advancement. Race number 4, saw Daniel Antonez, Chris Beats, and Jackson Resende jump out of race number 4. Then you had Ricardo Rico, Norbert Leiner, and Scott Kimbrough make the move out of race number 5. And race number 6, Victor Miranda, Yannick Steinhoff, and Miguel Colon were able to make it out of race number 6. All those guys are looking to move on into that season finale, which is that big money race at the end of the schedule. Our next race after this will be next weekend, the 3rd of August, and we will be coming to you from Spa. Don't forget to check us out, NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com. There is some information on there for the upcoming races. Previous races we've had so far this year, we had Road Atlanta, then we did Red Bull Ring, Watkins Glen, Long Beach, Interlagos. Sebring was the last race we did a couple weeks ago. And then we got Belle Isle and Spa. After Spa, we're going to have Phillip Island on 8/17. And then we'll have Daytona. And Suzuka will be the last regular race. We have not voted. It's going to be a driver's vote for that last season finale race on 9/21. That is when we're going to be giving away all the big money. We are looking to be giving away about $5,200. Thank you, Devin. I appreciate that. I will look into that. Again, we're in the YouTube chat. If you guys got anything you want to say, if something's wrong, give me a shout. Got about 3 minutes left. Closing in on the end of practice. Still got Rubelar leading the way. Got a bunch of Mustangs sitting up there on top. Top 4 spots are all Mustangs. Rubelar, Bozga, Koch, and Antonez. And then you got a couple Audis with Resende and Reister in this 5th and 6th spot. This is an open lobby in iRacing. Anybody can join. Anybody can run with these guys. We got Jackson Resende and Daniel Antonez. Both of those guys have already advanced into the season finale race. David Schwartz looking to make his way in there. Still hasn't qualified for that yet. Lucas Souza has not advanced yet either. Lucas has been in just about every one of our races and looking to make the move. Scott Reister also looking to make that move also. Scott is the head of North American Racing League, sets all this up, does a fantastic job. We also race on Thursday nights on Pit Stop TV on YouTube. We just had our second race of the season this last Thursday at Sebring. Chris Beats, another one that's been with us most of these Sunday races. Jeff Price, new name to us. Again, this is an open lobby in iRacing, so anybody can join. You do not have to be a league member. Anthony Wayand, one of our regulars in North American Racing League. Thursday night. Last few seconds here of open practice coming up. Beautiful facility, the ever so iconic fountain turn. That leads to some very interesting action for sure. As we have just completed our practice. And let's see what our practice times came up to be here. While we're waiting for everybody to start taking their grid or taking their hot laps in. So I had Nicholas Rubelar with the fast time in practice with a 1:26.3. David Bozga was about 0.3 of a second behind. Jarno Koch with about half a second behind. Daniel Antonez in that 4th spot. Jackson Resende in 5th. Scott Reister in 6th. Then you had Connor Karnick in the 7th spot. Scott Kimbrough in 8th. David Schwartz 9th. Chris Beats rounding out that top 10. Ricardo Delgado in the 11th spot. Lucas Souza in 12th. And then Rich Calais in 13th. Anthony Wayand in 14th. Mason Kuhn 15th. Devin Jenkins, 16th. Cameron Becker in the 17th spot. Jeff Price in the 18th spot. Dino Flippa is our live steward. So we will have stewarding going on during the event. And then Bobby Jermaine Jr. set no time. We'll have to see if he gets out there and runs in the event. Once again, this is an open lobby in in the iRacing service. Anybody is able to join us. So it leads to some interesting racing action sometimes. As we see the first group of guys getting out on the track and starting to get some times in. So we're looking at David Schwartz coming across the stripe into turn 1 and 2. This is a very technical track, super bumpy, can lead to some interesting crashes in some tight areas. So we watch them come in to turns 3 here. Again, the walls are ever so close as you come into turn 4. Real tricky section here. Turn 5 kind of falls away from you here. You do not want to hit that curb there. It really kicks the car out. And then this is a super important spot to get on the throttle early, get a good run down this long back straightaway, this long bumpy back straightaway. As you can just see the car just jumping up and down a little bit from the uneven grounds, and you get hard under braking right as you get to that bridge. Get a little bit of this curb right here. You want to swing out as far out of these walls as you can, but do not touch. Here comes the fountain turn right here where you're making a double left-hander. You carry as much speed through here, but you don't want to get too hot into here because you can spin out pretty easily. There's a big bump right here as you get onto the throttle. You got to be real careful getting onto the throttle. And come down to the braking zone just at that 200 marker. Double apex right-hander in that last section here. And you come down this long straightaway here, leading into the pit straight. Little slow sweeping right-hander across the start-finish line. As David Schwartz comes across the line with a 128.6, good enough to put him in the 4th spot. So we'll have to see how these guys can fare on their qualifying laps right now. You got Nicholas Rubelar with a 127.3 for fast lap so far. Scott Kimbrough out right now in the 7th spot. Yarno coming across the line up into the 4th spot now. Daniel Antonez gets by him. Everybody's starting to get some quicker times in. Audi was always the car of choice for Belle Isle, but looks like the Mustang is definitely a front runner at this track now. Just past the halfway point here in qualifying. Watching Scott Reister come around that real tricky turns 5 and 6 area. Another thing about this track is how close the walls are, how tight you are with them. If you tap that wall, get a 0x, There goes your qualifying run for that lap. So you have to stay clean. You cannot brush the walls at all. Antonez jumping up into that second spot now, 126.9. Kimbrough up into the sixth spot now, 127.6. Jackson Resende jumping up to the second spot in that Audi, 26.9 for Jackson. Like everybody's gotten their times in, but a couple cars still live on the track. Antonez sitting in that third spot right now. Then you got Devin Jenkins out there in the Porsche. Devin trying to get a lap in. Doesn't have a clean lap yet. Still got about 2 minutes left on the clock here. Board with Devin here as we are winding down our practice session or our qualifying session. With this gyro cam, you can definitely see all the undulations and bumps on the track, how much movement these cars go through. If you run a lot of 4-speed back, it makes it definitely real challenging. Devin comes across the line with a 129.9. At least gets a time on the board. 14 cars qualified. Winding down qualifying here. Got a few guys here in the list that have not qualified for our season finale race. So about 5 guys in this race that have not, still have yet to qualify. So we'll see who are those next 3 to advance to that season finale race. As we have completed our qualifying here for our North American Racing League. Race number 7. Get you that grid here. On the pole, you got Nicholas Rubelar with a 126.7. In that second spot is going to be the Audi of Jackson Resende, less than half a tenth behind him. Then you got Daniel Antonez in the second row inside. On the outside of him is Jarno Koch with about 0.3 of a second behind your leader. Third row is going to be David Bozga with Scott Reister next to him. Fourth row is going to be Scott Kimbrough with Connor Karnick in that 8th spot outside fourth row. Fifth row is going to be Ricardo Delgado and David Schwartz. Lucas Souza in that 6th row with Chris Beats. Then you're going to have Anthony Wayand in that 7th row with Devin Jenkins starting right next to him. And then the rest of the cars on here did not turn a time, so we'll have to see if any of those guys join us. Dino is our steward for the race to keep an eye on everybody, make sure everybody's doing proper things, not having any funky business. So we appreciate Dino joining us today. Starting to get gridded up on that short lap here. View from inside Nicholas's car here. Waiting on the last couple cars to get us gridded here. Again, you got Nicholas Rubler on the pole, Jackson Resende on that outside line, Daniel Antonez in the second row with Jarno Koch. Plenty long race for these guys as the pace car is coming into the pits this time by. Your pole sitter Nicholas Rubler are going to lead him down the straightaway, taking off. And he is going to take off into turn one as Rubler gets a good jump. Daniel Antonez up into that second spot. Jackson Resende dropping back to third. Jackson tucks in behind that big Mustang of Daniel Antonez, getting a draft down this straightaway. Poking his head out into turn number 3, can't quite get the deal done. You got Nicholas Rubler out in front. Antonez in second. Resende in third, Koch in fourth, Bozga in the 5th spot. Then you got Reister and Kimbrough 6th and 7th. Karnick in the 8th spot, David Schwartz 9th, and Ricardo Delgado in that Soul Corvettes in the 10th spot. Yeah, Rubler already opening up to almost a full second advantage here as they're coming around the fountain turn now. See how close those guys get to the wall. Coming on the exit of these turns, trying to carry as much speed as they possibly can. You got Antonez in that second spot. Resende in third, settling him in there. Right behind him is Jarno Koch. David Bozga not too far back in that 5th spot. Then you got a little bit of a gap back to the 6th spot of Scott Reister. On board with Scott as he comes into that fountain turn. Ever so tricky with all the bumps here. Reister hanging on to that 6th spot. In the 7th spot, you've got Scott Kimbrough. Connor Karnick in the 8th spot. And then you've got the first non-Mustang and Audi car in the 9th spot with the Acura of David Schwartz. And then Delgado running that sole Corvette out there right now. The only one out there. I think that's the way it's been the last couple races for Ricardo. Chris Beats in the sole Lambo. Sitting in that 11th spot. Lucas Souza running in the Mustang. Lucas pretty far down the order from where he normally is. Normally see him a little farther up. May have had a little bit of challenge getting the handle on this track. It is definitely not an easy track to get a grasp on. And then you got Anthony Wayand in the 13th spot. Battling out with Devin Jenkins here. But back up front, Nicholas Rubelar opening up to over a 1.5 seconds already as we're on lap 3 right now, coming across the stripe to start lap number 4. Pretty clean start from everybody. Everybody pretty nose to tail. Closest battle right now we have between teammates of Jarno and David. Hard under braking there, David sticking in behind his teammate. Could be sitting back here saving some fuel as we got an hour and 20-minute race. Plenty of opportunities to save some fuel, extend a pit stop a little bit longer. Everybody pretty nose to stern right now. Still no crazy battles going on. This is our closest battle right now. David and Jarno. See Nicholas comes by with a 26.6, half a second faster than Daniel. Already opened up to a 2.5 second advantage. Jackson Resende still hanging on in that 3rd spot. And you got this battle here of Jarno and David rounding out your top 5. Then you got a little bit of a gap back to the Audi twins there of Scott Reister and Scott Kimbrough. Again, this is North American Racing League Sunday Cash Racing. We take 3 drivers from each race into our season finale, which will be September 21st. Still have not announced that track yet. It will be driver's pick. Over $5,200 cash is going to be given away on that season finale race. First place is going to take home $2,000 for that season finale race. Second spot's going to take home $1,000. Third spot take home $500, and 4th through 10th all get $250 cash. That will be our season finale. Right now, our guys that have advanced into that season finale, Nicholas Rubilar, Daniel Lafuente, Nicholas Mateo from race number 1. Race number 2, we had Aaron Vasquez, David Vazca, and Paulo Gaday advancing. Race number 3 saw Sven Haas, Jarno Koch, and Lewis Woods advance. Race 4 saw Daniel Antones, Chris Beats, and Jackson Resende. Then you had Ricardo Rico, Norbert Leitner, and Scott Kimbrough advance in race number 5. And then race number 6, Victor Miranda, Yannick Steinhoff, and Miguel Colon all advanced. So there's a few guys in this race right now that still have not advanced yet. Plenty of opportunity for these guys. Looks like Scott Reister, actually the first person in line that has not advanced yet. And then you've got Connor Karnick that has not advanced yet either, and David Schwartz in that final transfer spot right now. But still a long race to go. A lot of racing action to come. Everybody been pretty clean so far. No big issues. This is our closest battle still for that 4th and 5th spot. Getting everybody kind of settling in. Then we got back here, we still got Scott Reister in that 6th spot. Looks like got a little bit of gap between him and Kimbrough now, about 2 seconds. They were pretty close. Kimbrough may have had a little issue or something. This track is one that you have to definitely stay up on the wheel on it, or it will come back and bite you for sure. So Kimbrough might have a little bit of damage on that left side. Right towards the tail of that car. May have brushed a wall coming out of a turn there. Looks like David's starting to reel back into Jarno here. I don't know if he's going to try to get a run on him or not. See what it looks like inside here. Oh, he's lifted pretty early there, so I think he may be content here. Maybe fuel saving right behind him. And see what he can do to extend that first stop here. Coming up onto that back straightaway. Let's see if he lifts early again. You see on the track map there on the right-hand side, everybody getting pretty spread out now. Yeah, lifting about 150 feet earlier than normal. So definitely doing some fuel saving here for David Vazca. Back up front with Nicholas Rubilar coming across the start-finish line, stretching that lead out to 3.5 seconds now. Rubilar with a 1:26.9 last time by. You can see the gap separation that Rubilar's been able to do every lap. Just about a half a second each lap until that last one. Antones was able to get a good clean lap out of that last one. the sectors here, and you can see where the gaps have been. Rublar definitely class of the field right now. David still sitting right on that back bumper of Yarno. Barely 13 minutes into this hour and 20-minute race. Everybody getting stretched out a little bit now. Connor Carnick not too far back behind Scott Kimbrough. Everybody pretty nose to stern. We'll kind of go through the field here. Again, we've got Nicholas Rublar out in front. Over 4.5 second advantage over Daniel Antonez. Antonez started third. Got a good jump on Jackson at the start and put up into that second spot and has been able to stay there. Then you got Jackson Resende in the third spot. And then he's been able to maintain this 1 second gap. Back to Jarno Koch in the fourth spot. David Bosca has been just parked right behind his teammate this whole time in that fifth spot. In the sixth spot, Mr. North American Racing League, Scott Reister. Reister is that first person that is not transferred yet into the season finale. And he's looking to hold on to that position and make it into that season finale race on September 21st. Then you got Scott Kimbrough in the seventh spot. Teammates with Scott Reister at Empire Racing. And then in the next spot, you've got Connor Carnick in the eighth spot. Ninth spot right now, you got David Schwartz in that Acura. 10th spot, you got Ricardo Delgado. Coming under a little bit of pressure from Chris Beats. Both these guys have been running in, I believe, most, if not all, of the North American Racing Sunday Cash races. Chris Beats was one of the cars that has advanced so far. I think it was about week 4 that Chris was able to get into that finale. Then you got a little bit gap back to Lucas Souza, kind of on his own island back here. He's got a 5-second gap up to Chris, and then about a 3-second gap back to Anthony here in that 13th spot. And then Devin Jenkins back here in 14th. This is still our closest battle. And I don't know if you can necessarily call it a battle. It's, two teammates going at it, running together. But they have closed in quite a bit on Jackson Resende. Let's see what the lap times look like here on those last few laps. Yeah, you see Yarno and David definitely closing the gap big time on Jackson. Jackson had a rough last lap, 27-8. And that was able to give Koch and Bozga a chance to close in quite a bit, get within a little bit of drafting range here. And then it looks like Jackson was able to settle back down and get pulled away just a bit, pulled a couple tenths out on him on that last lap. Let's see what their sector times look like here. Koch closing in about a half a tenth in that last sector. Jackson pulling back out a little bit, brushes that wall a little bit. There's a lot of little light taps that you get with the walls here. You really want to try to minimize those as much as you can. Jackson kind of starting to pull away just a bit again. And our next race will be next weekend. It'll be August 3rd. Next Sunday, we'll be racing from Spa. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll be coming to you from Australia, running around Phillip Island. Another one of my favorite tracks personally. Should lead to some good racing action with these guys. Track temp's about 82 degrees right now, so starting to warm up just a little bit as it is 9 a.m. sim time, coming up on 10 a.m. Track's going to start warming up a little bit. We'll have to keep an eye on that as the track warms up. It definitely greases up and gets a little on the slick side. So we'll have to see if anybody has any difficulties with that as we get closer in. Looks like Chris Beat starting to close in on Ricardo Delgado here for that 10th and 11th spot. We're just over 20 minutes down. Still have 1 hour left to go for these guys. Been a pretty quiet race so far. We'll have to see what pit stops bring. If anybody can able to get a quick pit stop, shuffle around, maybe change the order up a little bit. Looks like Delgado able to stretch the Corvette legs out a little bit, start to pull away from Chris Beats. kind of stretched out. But that definitely does not mean that these guys can lighten up on focusing, because this track demands all your focus the entire time. See Chris Beat starting to close in just a little bit. Starting to reel in on Delgado. I see Ricardo just tap that outside wall on exit. That is one tricky spot when you're trying to carry as much speed through that double apex. Again, this is North American Racing League Sunday Cash races here this week from Belle Isle. We are running a fixed setup on all these cars. Everybody running that fixed STO setup. 55% fuel cap, so that makes it a little interesting. Makes you have to do 2 stops. As you see, Chris Beats really closing in on Ricardo, kind of taking that look at that inside line off the straightaway, having to settle back in. Might be waiting for a move into turn 3. That seems to be the other great passing zone. You come across the start finish line here to complete another lap, then it's this kind of a quick right left-hander, turns 1 and 2 into the straightaway. You want to make sure you get a good exit onto here and try to get a good run, but he's closing in a little bit. Now it looks like he's separating himself. Not enough time to make that move. Another thing with this Sunday Cash racing, you do get 1 fast repair. So if you do have some damage from tapping the walls here, spinning out and wrecking, you do get 1 fast repair that you do get to get a brand new car and resume your battle. Top 3 finishers in this race will get $100 cash from North American Racing League. And then the top 10 positions all get $15 iRacing credit. So Scott Reister doing a good job and keeping everybody coming back. As we jump over to Scott right now, kind of running in that 6th spot, kind of on his own right here. He's got about 6-second gap in front of him up to David Bosga, and then about 2.5 seconds back to Scott Kimbrough. Again, Reister is the head of North American Racing League. He's been running this for about 8 seasons now, if I remember correctly. I think we're on season 8. Some elite performance guys racing with us. Closing in on 30 minutes down here soon, so might start to see some fuel stops probably in the next 15 minutes. that back corner. Chris Beats starting to close in. Ricardo. That right-left section here. Beats all over the back bumper of Ricardo Delgado. See if he can make a move here coming on to the front. That's kind of, I call it the front stretch. Not able to make a move there. That Corvette definitely has a little bit of power advantage, as he's able to maintain that out in front of Chris Beats. So Delgado hanging on to that 10th spot. Back up front here, we've got Nicholas Rubelar still leading him around. Opening up to over an 8-second advantage now. So he has opened up big time lead. You can see him going down the straightaway into turn 3 right now. Has quite a bit of a gap back to the second place car of Daniel Antonez. Antonez was able to get that good jump on Jackson Resende at the start and has been able to hang on to that second spot. Jackson Resende still hanging on to that third spot. Jackson running an Audi, kind of sandwiched between some Mustangs there. First pit stop we got coming on. Connor Karnick in the stop right now. Devin Jenkins also in the pits. So first wave of pit stops coming through as Connor back out on the track. So right at that 30-minute mark, we're seeing the first wave of stops coming through. An alert Connor crashed, so let's see what happened here. Into turn 3. Ooh, cold tires. Connor must have changed tires and led to him really hard on the brakes. Nicholas Rubelar jumping into the pits. Your leader in for a stop now. So the action's starting to come down. We got Devin Jackson reporting an accident. Ooh, coming into turn 2 there on cold tires. Ooh, Scott Kimbrough almost getting collected by him. And Devin sits there, waits for a good time. Doing a good job staying on his relative, making sure he stays out of these guys' way. Great job from Devin. So out front now we've got Jackson Resende. Lucas Souza in for a pit stop. Down at the bottom, you'll see who's in the pit stops right now, how long they've been in there. Souza in and out of the pits, 48.8 full from beginning to end of pit lane. Jackson jumping into the pits. Here comes second and third right behind him. See what these, if anybody can make any jumps here. A little surprised to see David follow his teammate in with all the fuel saving he was doing. I figured he may have been able to extend. We'll have to see here. Scott Reiser also in the pits. Kimbrough in the pits. Everybody coming in now with almost 33 minutes down. Rubelar goes by the stripe, take back that lead. Resende coming down off of tires. Everybody changing tires right now. Oh, the Mustang's getting a good jump on Jackson. Oh, side by side coming out of the pits. Teammates get together. Oh, no. Yarno gets spun out and wrecked coming out of pits. And that is such a tricky spot to get corrected. You want to stay clean. Oh, it almost collects Kimbrough there. Oh, tough break from Yarno. Let's go back and see what that looked like coming out of the pits. They just touched going side by side. Yarno's going to have to get back in there and get that car fixed as he's got quite a bit of damage. So looks like everybody has pits. So out in front, Nicholas Rubelar back out in front with that 8.5 second advantage. Back to Daniel Antonez. Jackson Resende able to hang on to third right now. Still has David Bozga in the fourth spot now. Then you got Scott Reister about 7 seconds behind him in the fifth spot. Scott Kimbrough in the sixth spot. Then you got Yarno in the seventh spot, really trying to milk that damaged car around. Trying to extend out. As you see Connor and Chris going by. Chris Beats, big move right now after the last pit stop, up into the 8th spot. And putting some pressure down on Connor Karnick. David Schwartz, rough pit stop for him, dropping him back into that 10th spot. Looking at our timing here. Our pit times there. This is our pit times from their pit stop. Rubelar and Antonez with 23.9s. Jackson with a 25.4. Bosca with a 23.2. Reister 22.2. Kimbrough 24 seconds flat. Then you had Connor with a 23.4. Then Chris Beats 21.5. So quickest pit stop out of anybody. Jumping him up a few spots. Yarno with a 23.4. David Schwartz. Looks like Yarno jumping into the pits now. Trying to get that car fixed. He was just struggling too much to keep that car going. Get that fast repair done. Get some more fuel in it and head out. Hopefully able to make more headway with a complete car. Everybody getting kind of spread out again, but Chris Beats not too far back behind Connor Karnick. Everybody kind of spread out right now. Karnick. So Karnick's starting to pull away just a bit now on Chris Beats as they get settled back in, get those tires warmed back up. Coming up on 40 minutes down. So all these guys pit about after about 32 minutes, 33 minutes. So we should see them back in right around the 1 hour mark. Let's see everybody come back in for what should be their final pit stop. Bosco's starting to reel in Jackson Resende a bit. See how close they get the camera to these walls. Cameras actually move to the outside. Hear how sensitive you gotta be on throttle around here. David Bosca in that 4 spot, chasing down Jackson Resende. Lap time's pretty even there. Jackson did have a quicker lap a couple laps ago. Excuse me, David had a quicker lap. That's why he was in the green there. And Jackson starting to pull back out a little bit. Go through the running order here with just over 41 minutes down, so we're just past the halfway point. We got Nicholas Rubelar out in front. Nicholas was our winner of our first race at Road Atlanta. That was a very exciting race that we had. If you ever get a chance to go back and watch that stream, that was a very exciting race. You saw Rubelar and Daniel Lafuente and Mateo. Those guys went at it for that last lap. Again, if you guys have time to go back, check that out. That was our first race from Road Atlanta. Rubelar now with a 9.5 second advantage back to Daniel Antonez. And then you got a little bit of gap back to the third place car of Jackson Resende. About 4.5 seconds back into that third spot. And then just under 1 second back is David Bosga in the 4th spot. All 4 of these guys have already advanced into the season finale race. 5th place car, Scott Reister, is your first non-bump guy. Reister, the head of North American Racing League, has not advanced to that season finale. He's looking to hang on to that 5th spot as he's the first non-transfer person running. Running the 6th spot, Scott Kimbrough. Scott was able to advance a couple weeks ago. And then your next person, Connor Karnick. Connor has not advanced yet, so he's looking to make that move into that season finale race, September 21st. Connor about 2.5 seconds behind Scott's Kimbrough. Then you got about 3 seconds back to Chris Beats. Chris was able to advance in what I believe is week 4. So then right now you've got David Schwartz in the 9th spot. That David is holding on to that last transfer position. So we'll have to watch this and monitor that as you have Schwartz and Delgado battling out for what could be that final transfer position into that season finale race. So that could lead to some exciting action here towards the end, as we're closing in on 45 minutes down. It's been a pretty quiet race. The only action we had was really on pit exit, right after pits. Let's go back and take a look at a couple of these incidents we saw. After his pit, we had Devin Jenkins come around on cold tires and then just lose it a little bit coming out of there. That was his second incident. Yep, here's his other one. This was like right after the pits, coming into turn 2 over that hump and just spins out. But I'll give kudos to Devin here. He did everything he could to stay out of everybody's way. He waited for a safe rejoin time. Did not want to hurt anybody else's race. Definitely watched his relatives, so I'll give him kudos for that. And then when we saw some pit lanes, let's see what happened here to Yarno as they're coming out of the pits. Just a side-by-side action, and him and his teammate just barely touched, and that spun Yarno out. And again, this is one of the trickiest spots to get clear because it's blind when you're racing. As you see Scott Kimbrough just barely get through. And that definitely knocked Yarno back. Yarno now back in the 12th spot. Had to come in again for a fast repair. And he's been trying to work his way back up. But right now we still have closest battle right now looks to be still in that 3rd and 4th spot with Jackson Resende and David Bozga about a second back. As you can see on the track map, everybody kind of spread out right now. Pushing that turn really hard. Lost a little bit of ground, having to slow it back down a little bit. Look at the track temp, still about 87 degrees, so it really hasn't climbed much. But we still have about another 30 minutes of racing to go. We'll have to see if it climbs up, but this race will finish before noon, and that's about when this track really starts to spice up and get that track temp up quite a bit. is our final transfer position into that season finale. David Schwartz hanging on to that 9th spot. He could be your 3rd person to bump up into that season finale race. But Ricardo Delgado is in the 10th spot. He's right behind him, trying to reel in. Still got about 30 minutes to go, so still plenty of action to go. We still have another set of pit stops to go with these guys. Plenty of time for these guys to make their moves. Schwartz able to maintain about that 3/4 of a second gap on Ricardo Delgado. And our other battle that we've kind of been monitoring as well is Jackson Resende and David Bosga. Both of these battles are less than a second. These guys have been running together most of the race. The only difference is we had Yarno in that mix as well, with that unfortunate tangle with David and Yarno. No real battle's been going on besides this. No real changes. Everybody getting stretched out right now. So we're at 50 minutes down. We still have 30 minutes left to go. Jackson and David. So David just really inching his way closer and closer, and then Jackson lays down a good lap and starts to pull away. Battle's starting to develop here. We got Scott Kimbrough and Connor Karnick. Looks like Connor's been able to really close in that gap on Kimbrough. We'll go back here with David and Ricardo still going at it. They keep back and forth on their gaps. Ricardo's starting to reel him in again. Reister jumping in the pits. Scott Reister coming in for a stop. No tire change for him. Reister going to stay on that same set of tires, coming in for his final stop. So a little early, may have had some damage he picked up and wanted to get it cleaned out, and comes out right behind Yarno. So a couple fast guys back here in the back, looking to get some moves done here towards the end. fourth are going to keep going, looking for these guys to probably stop closer to the 1 hour mark. Alert David Schwartz off the track at one moment. Let's see what happened here. Got off track a little bit. Pushed that turn just a little too hot. But able to stay in front of Ricardo. So we got Jackson and David still going at it for that third and fourth spots. Coming into that fountain turn now. Leader coming around that pit entrance. See if he's going to jump in for a stop. And it looks like he is going to continue on. Continuing on as well. Coming up on the lap, Anthony Wayan. Third and fourth keep on going as well. And you got quite a bit gap back to Kimbrough. About 20 seconds back to Scott Kimbrough in the 5th spot. Connor Carney in that 6th spot. He was able to start closing that gap on Scott, but that gap has opened back up to about a 1.5 seconds now. Check back in with David and Ricardo. Again, this is what could potentially be our final transfer position into that season finale. Again, the top 3 non-bumping positions will bump into that season finale. Right now you got Scott Reister, net first position to bump. He's sitting in that 12th spot right now. But let's see what happens when everybody else pits. Connor, right now you got Connor Karnick as that first non-bump driver. Then David Schwartz and Ricardo Delgado, 2nd and 3rd. But they have not pit yet. So we'll have to see what happens here pretty soon. I'm thinking the next set of pit stops is going to happen here within the next 5 or 10 minutes. No real changes anywhere. Nobody's been passing. Everybody's been pretty settled in. Let's go on board with David. See what it looks like running, trying to chase down Jackson here. See if he's still lifting down this back section. Still running pretty hard there. That's not it's not much lift in there. Again, this is the fountain turn is definitely one of the trickiest sections here. Half of the track here coming into that pit straight. Got the lap car of Anthony Wayand in front of him there, in front of Jackson. They're still pretty settled in on their positions right now. starting to close in on Anthony. Anthony should be sliding over here on this section here. Slides out of the way and lets that fourth place cars go by. That gives David Bosga a chance to really close in on Jackson now. Let's see what both those guys just tapping the wall on exit there, trying to get maximize their speeds on exit as much as they can. Within 3/10 right now. Closing in on that 1 hour mark, so we should see everybody's last set of pit stops coming up here soon. See our leader right now coming into the last half of the track here. Into the pit straight, and he keeps on going. Let's see, here comes Daniel. Antonez leading into the pit straight as well, and will continue as well. Here come the third and fourth place cars into that same section. Both of those guys will continue as well. So nobody jumping into that the second pit stops here. Comes Kimbrough. Kimbrough's got Connor Karnick right behind him. Still about a second and a half back. And neither one of those guys stopping. Chris Beats able to hang on to that 7th spot. Looks like everybody's going to continue on. David Schwartz and Ricardo Delgado still battling out for what could potentially be that net 3rd transfer position. Yarno coming in for his final stop. Yarno had to make an extra stop to get a little bit of repair done earlier. Goes by, continues on. Your leader stretching out to almost a 13-second advantage now on Daniel Antonez. Rubler's been the class of the field today. On a nice casual Sunday drive. As casual as you can be on a street course in Detroit. What it looks like out inside the leader car of Rubler. Chris Beats in for a pit stop now. Your 7th place car in for a stop. To see if our leader comes in there as well. This is a tricky section. You really got to watch your wheel speed there. Lucas Souza in for a stop as well. Here comes our leader around that double apex right, leading into the pit section. He will continue on. Second place car coming down that pit straight as well. Continues on. Third and fourth. David Bosga closing back in on Jackson again. Both these guys continuing. This is our closest battle on the track right now. These guys have been pretty nose to tail most of this race. Connor Karnick jumping into this for his final pit stop. Might be seeing if he can do kind of an undercut on Scott Kimbrough. Schwartz and Delgado go by. That is what is potentially your final transfer position for that season finale once they get their pit stops in. And your leader jumping into the pits for his final pit stop, Nicholas Rubelar. Let's see if Antonez jumps in the pits as well. And he does. This will be their final pit stop. Jackson extending still. Bosga right there with him. So third and fourth are nose to tail with a net. Third and fourth. As Rublar and Antonez, your top two cars, just coming out of the pits now. Got 15 minutes left on the clock. Now you got Jackson Resende and David Bosga out in front, first and second, closing in on Lucas Souza. To put him a lap down, Lucas slides out of the way, lets the guys go by. Good sportsmanship from him. Not Lucas's day today. I've had many battles with that guy, and he is definitely quicker than he is right now. This might not be the track for him. So tough break for Lucas today. Top two cars still nose to tail. We're going to have to see if these guys come in for a pit stop. This time by. And they are. Both cars jumping into the pits. Let's see what these guys can do. Is David going to short pit? This is a battle for what could be your third place overall. Bosga in for a stop. Resende kind of points it towards an exit. We'll see what these guys can do here. We'll stick with this to see what it looks like. You can hear him revving that engine. Oh, Bosga gets a good jump. Resende comes out. And Resende able to hang on to that third spot as they go back out on track and resume their battle. Bosga able to close in a couple tenths, get a good jump on him, but Jackson able to get out of the pits nice and clean and hold on to that net third spot. Get Scott Kimbrough now in third. Scott has not stopped for that second time yet. Close battle now. This is where it's going to start coming down now. Bosga has been sitting behind Jackson this whole time, just waiting for this time. Looking to put some pressure on him. Bosga all over the back bumper of Jackson Resende right now. Scott Kimbrough peels into the pits for his final pit stop. And then you got Jackson back out into that third spot. David Bozka in fourth. Still close battle here as everybody coming in for their final stop. Now you got Kimbrough, Schwartz, and Souza in for their final stop. We'll stick with this battle for third and fourth, the final podium position. Don't forget, top three all get $100. So this is your final battle for that podium position. $100 on the line for these guys. Look at pit times here. See what everybody looked like coming in and out of the pits. 12.6 for Rubelar, 13:01 for Antonez. Jackson with one of the quickest ones, 10:08. David Bozka with 11:1. Kimbrough 9:8. Connor Karnick 14. So that was a big gap back to Connor. I know he was closing in on Kimbrough quite a bit. And now after the pit stops, you've got about a 5-second gap. So Kimbrough able to stretch that out a little bit. Let's see, Anthony out of the pits now. So your running order now, you've got Nicholas Rubelar out in front. Has almost a 13-second advantage back to Daniel Antonez. Then you've got this battle for third and fourth with David Bozka and Jackson Resende. Jackson in third, David in the fourth spot. Scott Kimbrough in the fifth spot. So all 5 of these guys have already advanced into the season finale race. So your top non-bump guy right now, Connor Karnick. Ooh, Connor getting a little hairy through turn 5 there. That is definitely a tough section to get through, especially when the track starts warming up. And then the next non-bump car is Scott Reister, Mr. NARL himself. And then you got David Schwartz in the third and final transfer position into that season finale race. He's opened up quite a bit of a gap back to Ricardo Delgado. Ricardo sliding back about 3 seconds behind David now. But Ricardo under pressure now with Chris Beats and Jarno Cook right behind him. Jarno with an early problem on our first pit stop coming out of the pits. Getting tangled up with his teammate. Just a slight little touch and gets spun out. Had to make an extra pit stop to do that fast repair. Jarno trying to work his way back up through the field. Back up to that final podium position. Jackson Resende still hanging on to that third spot. The last few laps for these guys just back and forth on lap times. See a lot of sparks coming off those back corner fenders of these guys. Everybody pushing the limits as much as they can. See quite a bit of damage to those back fenders of Jackson's car. Scraping those concrete walls around. Ooh, a little hairy from Jackson there. That gives David a chance to close in a little bit. can see all the damage on the side of Jackson's car here. Look at that left front corner, the left rear corner. That's all from scrapes running against the track, pushing the limits of the car for sure. Red pass for the 10 spot. Yarno finally getting by Chris Beats. Getting a good run on him. And coming into turn 3 here, Yarno picking up a spot. As we go back to Jackson and David still going at it. We're closing in on 5 minutes left to go. Yarno closing in on Ricardo. Let's see if he can make a pass. Looks like the last time by he did the same move coming into turn 3. Good hard braking passing zone. And Yarno goes by Ricardo to take up into that 9th spot. Less than 5 minutes to go, so we still got a couple laps left for these guys. Nicholas Rubelar still out in front. Drago Racing Machine out in front. Rubelar has been out in front this whole time, stretching that lead out to 14 seconds now on Daniel Antonez. Jackson Resende qualifying in the number 2 spot, dropping back to 3rd on the start. Has been able to maintain this 3rd spot. He's been under pressure from David Bozga for pretty much the second half of this whole race. And Jackson's been able to maintain this 3rd spot. Closing in on time. Looks like these guys should get by for one more lap. Again, this is our closest battle on the track. This is our final podium position. Jackson really been able to settle in and get some good laps going here the last few laps. start to separate himself a little bit. As we're coming down the front straight one more time. We're going to go by for one more lap. I did not see a white flag going. Running order right now. Still got Rublar out in front, starting from the pole. Has run away and hid from these guys. Almost 15-second advantage. So a commanding, just dominant performance from Nicholas. Daniel Antonez been able to hang on to this second spot. Looks like Jackson been kind of inching his way a little closer here towards the end. And he has. So Jackson's been a couple tenths just about every lap here, closing that gap. Rublar coming down the front straight, coming down the pit straight one more time by the line to take the white flag. So we're on the last lap right now for Nicholas Rublar. One final time. Nice casual Sunday drive for Nicholas. He's done a great job this entire day. He led practice. He led qualifying. And has been able to maintain this lead. Stretching it out to over 15 seconds now. Still pushing the limits as he's still tapping the walls. Definitely needs to be careful though. Does not want to do that series of damage and blow it at the end here. He's getting top 3 will take home $100 cash. And then top 10 get $15 of iRacing credit. Rublar coming down to the short chute into turn 12. Gets the double apex around here one final time. Into the pit straight one final time. Nicholas Rublar coming down the pit straight, crosses the line to take the win here at Detroit Belle Isle. Dominating performance from Rublar. Here comes Daniel Antonez into that pit section now. Antonez will bring it home in second. And then you got Jackson Resende coming across the line in third. David Bosca in the 4th spot. Scott Kimbrough coming around one final time. Kimbrough hanging on to that 5th spot as he comes around that final double apex one more time. All top 5 of these guys have already bumped up into the season finale, but here comes your first non-bump person. Advancing to the finals is going to be Connor Carnick. The next car finishing in the 7th spot, Scott Reister, also bumping into that season finale. Jarno Koch working his way back up into that 8th spot after that early accident. David Schwartz also making it up into the season finale race. Everybody pulling off the track. Good run from everybody. Everybody getting spread out quite a bit. And keeping it pretty clean the whole race long. So let's see what our final results are here for Detroit Belle Isle. As we pull them up, you got Nicholas Rublar taking the win. 15-second gap back to Daniel Antonez. That was a very dominant and commanding performance from Rublar. Jackson Resende finishing in the 3rd spot. David Bosca in 4th. Rounding out your top 5 was Scott Kimbrough. Then you had your first non-bump guy, Connor Karnick, in the 6th spot. Scott Reister in 7th, also is going to join him in that season finale. Jarno Koch finishing in the 8th spot. David Swartz in 9th. That final transfer position for that season finale race. Season finale will be September 21st. Over $5,000 going to be given away. First place at that last race will get $2,000. Second spot will get $1,000, and third will get $500. Pretty great racing today here from Detroit Belle Isle with the North American Racing League. Sunday cash races. Look forward to see you guys next week. Our next race coming up will be at Spa next weekend. We look forward to seeing you guys next weekend from Spa.